Janice. How are you today?
I'm very good, Bonnie. How are you?
I'm great. And I got to tell you something. I'm speaking to you from Toronto. Can you believe that it's been almost a year since you brought this wonderful film here? And I know that it premiered in Edinburgh, which, by the way, I'm going to in 10 days, which I'm so excited. But I digress. When the film was brought here, the response to it was absolutely phenomenal, which I'm not surprised because we love film here. Did it surprise you how it was accepted here?
I've just been, the last guy, I was just talking, he asked me about exactly the same, what was it like being at TIFF a year ago? And I've just said, I don't think I've ever experienced a film festival like it. I can't tell you how much in love I am with TIFF. Um, I was, you know what, you make a film, small town Wales, how does it translate across the pond to this incredible place, Toronto?
Yes.
And wow, wow. I was saying we were wearing the Chuck Chuck Baby t-shirts walking around Toronto, and everybody was going, "Oh my God, I saw your film." But not even that, Bonnie. It was the energy in the cinema. The
Yeah.
energy was unbelievable. And for all that my years of running around the world and experience anything, I have to, my hand on my heart. I fell so in love with TIFF. I'm so sad I'm not there this year.
Well, I was
Because
going to say you need to start working on more films so that we
it's
can,
going,
you
it's
know,
going. If they leave me alone for this one, it was extraordinary. The
yeah.
emotion, the and what was beautiful about it was it's just a festival for the audience.
Yes.
You make films for an audience. It's not anywhere else. It's about something else. It really is about the
Understood.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. I've loved it since I've been covering it now for a long time, 37 years now. And
Oh,
I
wow.
I remember my very first tip. Like I swear to you, there's nothing like the energy. Even as a journalist, doesn't matter. I like to go and sit with the audience and watch because you get goosebumps. Like I love the Q&As. I love watching that. I know I have access. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather see it that way.
Absolutely unbelievable. And I will never forget. I mean, I've got somebody took a video of when an audience was walking out of one of the big TIFF screenings, and every one of them just stopping to talk to me. And so much love and the
Nice.
appreciation for cinema.
Yeah.
I just love that place. I wish I could live there.
Well, you are, listen, I got an extra bedroom. You're welcome anytime. So it's all good, Janice. No problem there. We'll trade off. I'll come visit you, you come visit me. But let's talk about this film because I really I loved it. I love the way that the women are portrayed. I felt very connected. I'm sure there are a lot of women out there who've watched this movie or will watch this movie that will connect. And I wanted to ask you, I mean, clearly, look, you worked in a chicken factory. I know that. So tell me a little bit about the evolution of how this all began. How did you come up with writing this? And you did it a little later in life too, which
It's crazy, isn't it? Well,
again,
first thing for me was writing a film about love, and not just the romantic love, about love between women in all its different forms. I will, my chicken factory experience was, I think I lasted, I think just over a week and a half before I run off.
I don't
But
blame you.
within that week and a half, all the girls I'd grown up with there was just this feeling of this sense of connection with each other. And I go right back to the women who brought me up, my incredible mum, and her friends, and women who'd had a really difficult time,
Yeah.
placed in these social and political environments where their brilliance was often stopped, and probably still continues all over the world in different
Sure.
places. So it really was about taking what I love, the social realism, and mixing it with that musical form, which I really love to do.
Yeah.
Um, because I think what it gives us is something quite different. Growing up as a working class girl myself, I know how filmmakers have always looked at those kind of areas and those, the growing up in those environments is something quite I've never seen it like that. Of course,
Right.
there's hardship, but that's my experience. I had an incredible mum who just lifted it with love and song. So that's where it all comes from. And I think the world needed just a bit of hope. And I'll be honest with you, I've received emails from all over the world from women. And they've been, obviously, with the release of the film, they've been coming in and in and in of
Wow.
women just going, I got married at 18 and I'm 78. And this film is just so wonderful to see someone like me on the screen. It's incredible.
That's amazing, Janice. Yeah, and like I said, there's no doubt. I believe you because I related to her in certain aspects, and this character Helen, we she is just stuck in a rut, man. Oh my God, like I wanted to shake her. Like, why are you living with your ex-husband who got a young chickie pregnant? And I get it. She's connected with his mother, and she feels she needs to take care of him. I get it. Her, I mean, and that's why she can't leave which is beautiful, And I have to tell you, Janice, like I loved the whole aspect of the music and how you incorporate it. And from the very first song, the Neil Diamond song, I Am, I Said. Okay, so she's in the car. I think that's the very first time I really listened to those lyrics. And I was bawling my head off from the get-go because, boy, oh my God, the words of that song, like it's exactly what she was going through. I I don't even know what else to say. Like, how difficult or challenging was it for you to find this beautiful music, put it to exactly what these women or the experiences were going through? Kudos to you. Amazing.
It's going through, I mean, it's started the writing process. So I kind of, my walls here in my office I have a kind of journey of the characters, and as I'm going through it, I kind of know what song I need to put and what it's got to express in it. The Neil Diamond one, when I was writing that, I'll be honest with you, I saw her in this one long take of a shot. I didn't want the camera to move.
Yeah.
I was crying writing it. And I always think if I'm not crying, the audience aren't going to cry.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to the DP and saying, I want this camera to stay with her. It's got to stay with her. And she was like, you can't do that. And I said, yes, I can, because this is about going into her heart.
Exactly.
And that's what the whole thing of how the music is used in the film. It really is about seeing the heart of the character and what they're experiencing. I mean, I love the Neil Diamond. I love the Janis Ian.
Yeah.
Because it tells you about Joanne's background. So the music is really important. I have a long selection. I'm also very careful of the cost of music. So that's always in my mind.
Well, of course, yes. Yeah.
So, it's kind of, but it starts right at the beginning. And it's always, as I say to the actors, it's not about your voice, it's about what you're showing me here.
Was it difficult to get them? That was my next question, because you've got clearly a bunch of women in this film who are fabulous actors, or what they were all great, really singers. So was there any hesitancy in the beginning, or did they just go with it?
Look, they fell in love with the script, and of course, when it comes to exposing the voice and everything else, there's another edgy, nerve-wracking side to it. But I think once I mean, they do a few singing lessons just to kind of work the muscles so they don't ever hurt themselves. But again, as I say to everyone, this film was shot in 26 days. Nothing goes over 3 takes. They're very aware of what they're about to do is about, it's more to do with what actors are brilliant at doing, which is showing themselves here.
Yeah.
I always say specifically Lou in that Neil Diamond scene just unzips herself, and it's like just going into that pure, to a heartbeat of what is going on in that woman's life. It's quite extraordinary.
Oh, I agree. It just hit me from the get-go. There was no question. I was with her the whole journey, for sure. And the women that you cast in this, to me, it seems like, I mean, especially the ones in the chicken factory. I mean, they all have this bond, and they're all such tight friends. Was that immediate when these ladies got together to work on the film?
Yeah, I mean, you also, brilliant casting with Becca Wright, and we're looking for girls who come from that area. So it's a north of, there's a tendency, and I shouldn't say I get shouted at by everybody. There is a certain warmth in the north of Britain that you may not discover in the south.
Yeah.
But I think it's just growing up in different environments, and the girls kind of knew the working class areas of that, and we did a little sizzle reel for the BFI,
Yeah.
so I could show them how the music worked, and I think that weekend they bonded, over probably a few bottles of wine, and that was just, again, then COVID hit us. We had
Right.
Zoom every night, and this chemistry was cemented between them, and they were also just enthusiastic and passionate about telling this story that just included women, and they were really proud to do that, and they just incredible bond, all of them.
Yeah, you can see, you can feel it. There's no
Yeah,
no question
yeah,
about it.
incredible
Um,
bond.
I have to ask. I mean, I've never worked in a chicken factory. I like growing up, I've had jobs where, makeup factories and things like tedious jobs. Did anybody become like vegetarian after this?
Well, the production designer is pure vegan. There was no real chickens used in that film. That
Really?
all, yeah,
That's
absolutely no
hilarious.
chickens were harmed in the making of this film. We had, obviously, we're not a big budget film. I think we had 3 hero chickens that we could do a close up on. That I insisted was smothered with jam and jelly to make it look that. And then they were really hard to get in the plastic bag. But
Yeah.
no, all vegan production designer, vegetarian DP, they weren't real.
That's funny. Yeah. No, they look pretty real to me. I got to tell you, it was funny. And just shooting where you're comfortable too. The location was quite lovely. Like there's a lot of outdoor, even when they were outside in their yards and when she was on the stilts and everything, but going up to Lover's Lane, like there were so many beautiful locations. Was that easy for you to just, peg these locations and shoot where you shot?
Yeah, they were all my childhood locations. So, the Hulkin Mountain, the Mushroom Seam was where I used to go and be a naughty girl from school and hang out with my friends and be naughty.
Okay.
The big old rusted ship, the fun ship was it was a working fun ship when I was growing up, even
Yeah.
though it's still been stuck there for 30 years. I think the landscape, I think probably like a lot of Canadians, the landscape is enormously important to our personality, and it is for me. I come from a town that was built for factories,
Yeah.
so and behind that town is this incredible landscape, the rugged Welsh hills, which speak two things to me, and so I found that I always shoot in that area of my home, because cinematically it talks to me, and it kind of it ignites something in my visual sense that I really love. And I also think filming for those guys, everybody on the shoot as well, it's a place that's never seen, so it's
Right.
different for them as well. So
Yeah.
and it's fun, and the back gardens. I was brought up in. I remember my dad, I don't know where he got a JC digger from. He worked in this bloody building site and dug the garden up, and there was a big mountain, then took the digger back and never did anything. So we had a mountain in the back of our garden, and a washing line around it.
Yeah.
So these things are just really about how I remember the real beautiful touches of what made my garden home.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
somebody's always got a lovely garden, somebody's always got a little shitty one.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I wanted to know if there was one song that you used in the film that you were adamant about using because it touched your heart maybe growing up. Was there one that you said, I gotta have this song that really meant something to you?
Am I allowed to have two?
You can have two. Okay, I will let you have two, Janice, because I like you so much.
Um, the Janis Ian,
Yeah.
um, because I've been a fan of Janis Ian since I was about 15 years of age, and that song for Joanne was such a beautiful, it said everything about what I wanted the audience to know about that girl's past. Um, and then, of course, the Neil Diamond. The Neil Diamond one I knew would be the riskiest one, because I knew obviously it's a big Neil Diamond track. And I was encouraged by the guys who were doing the music clearance. kind of said, "Oh God, you might have to email because," and I did. I emailed him and told him a beautiful story. My mum had loved Neil Diamond, like a lot of women in those kind of working class towns, and
Yes.
he speaks for them. He speaks to them.
Yeah.
And my mum was always either playing musicals or listening to Neil Diamond. And he did a concert in London. And I wrote to him and said, I went to see your concert at the O2. I had a ticket for my mum, but she got very poorly. But I phoned her and she heard the entire concert from over the phone.
Wow.
And then after that, I lost my mum. And he was incredibly supportive.
Oh,
Very,
that's lovely.
so
Yeah.
that was, those are the two tracks I really didn't want to lose.
Yeah. Well, they were very poignant, I have to say. As I said to you earlier, right from the get-go, I was like, oh my God. Well, listen, Janis, like I say, I hope you're working on your next one to bring us maybe for
I am
2025 TIFF, okay?
trying to, definitely. I know. I'd love to come back, guys. I love that place. It's where my heart is.
Well, we love that you brought it here. Like I said, we loved it, and I love this film. I thought you did such an extraordinary job directing it. So congratulations on it, and thank you so much
Bonnie.
for your time today. Really appreciate your time.
I
Thank you.
appreciate your questions. Thanks,
Okay.
Bonnie. Take
Okay,
care.
take care. Have a good one. Okay, bye.
You too. Bye bye.